Hey guys, it's Maya. Welcome back. So, welcome to today's video. Today I'm going to be doing a little wrap up of all the books I read in June. I know this kind of content is different from my previous videos, but I am trying something new, so bear with me. So, in the month of June, I read a total of 8 books, which is pretty good to me. I could have read more, but we're not going to talk about it. I have notes, a bunch of notes on my phone right now. So if I'm reading off of it, I apologize. So the first book on the list is Today, Tonight, Tomorrow by Lynn... No. The first book on the list is Today, Tonight, Tomorrow by Rachel Lynn Solomon. This one's like enemies to lovers, academic rivals. This one follows Rowan on her last day of senior year. All throughout high school, she has been butting heads with this guy named Neil, and they're competing for the position of valedictorian. On the last day of school, the whole senior class participates in a game called Howl, which is basically assassin and scavenger in one. And Rowan makes it a point to not play the game unless Neil is playing because she wants to beat him. She wants to beat him one last time. She decides to pair up with Neil, and the rest is history. Long story short, I guess, a lot can happen in one day. And this takes place in one day, which is kind of insane to me. At the beginning, I found that there was a lot of, not like useless, but things that could have, like the story could have worked without those details. But it set the scene up, you know, it created depth for the characters. I understand it from that point. Another thing I want to say about this book is that the banter in this one is like chef's kiss. I don't think I've annotated a book this much in all of my books. And I love Neil and Rowan's like dynamic. Like they're just so funny. Like they have that type of relationship where they can like throw insults at each other, make fun of each other, and it not be taken seriously. Like I think that's so funny. I related to Rowan because I recently left high school, like as of gonna be a year. I graduated high school, she's graduating high school, so we're kind of like in the same place. But unlike Rowan, she's very sad to leave high school. You know, she's leaving everything she's ever known, and you know, she's not gonna see her friends every day, she's not gonna see Neil every day, surprisingly, and she's not gonna have the same routine. I, on the other hand, was excited to leave high school, never want to go back, never will go back, happy that it's over. High school was just not for me, college is way better. I think I rated this book a 4.5 out of 5 stars, only because there's just like this one detail that happened like towards the end of the book that I didn't really agree with. Not that I can do anything about it, but it could have waited till the next book. I don't know. A lot can happen in one day, so keep that in mind when you read this book. Speaking of, there is a sequel to this book called Past, Present, Future, and I think it's already out, but I have yet to read it. I'm assuming it's how their relationship is like when they're both in college and how stuff can change, so hopefully it's great because I enjoy this book a lot. So the next book on the list is Better Than the Movies. This one, guys, this one was great. I thoroughly enjoyed this book. I could not put it down. I was up at ungodly hours because of this book. I was so eager to find out what would happen next, and I loved it. So this one follows Wes and Liz. Wes and Liz are neighbors, and they have been ever since they were younger. Now Liz, for starters, is a die-hard rom-com lover. You name a rom-com, she's seen it. When this book starts, I think Liz finds out that her longtime childhood crush Michael has moved back into town, and you know, since she's grown up and since it's been a long time since he's seen her, she plans to get him to fall in love with her. Liz hears that there's a party this upcoming weekend, and she has no way in. She hears that Michael's going, so she wants to go, but she doesn't know anyone that's going to the party. She goes to the next best thing, her neighbor, Wes, who's really good friends with Michael. Liz conjures up this plan, and Wes agrees to help give her pointers and to help win Michael over. And because of Wes and Liz's agreement, Wes and Liz end up spending more time together, and sooner or later, Liz realizes that Wes's company isn't all that bad. The rest is for you to find out what happens in this book. Wes and Liz's relationship is it's like the cutest and the funniest, and again, they have that banter. You know, the chemistry is chemistrying, and I don't know if I said this before, but banter is like really important to me in books, especially in romances, because it just shows the chemistry between the characters and like the humor, the mutual understanding of each other, and don't know, it's just so funny. I rated this a 5 out of 5 stars because it was just that good. I know that there are bonus chapters on Lynn Painter's website, the author's website, which will be linked down below. Yeah, I think the majority of them are on there and then some of them are not. Same events that happened in this book but in Wes's point of view, and those are gold, guys. Those are gold. Also, one more thing. If you love Gilmore Girls and if you love Jess Mariano like I do, you will love Wes. They are one and the same to me. There are multiple times in the book where I crossed out Wes's name and replaced it with Jess because they were just so similar. Like, they're both sarcastic and witty. Love Wes. I'm a huge fan of Wes. Wait, Jess. Sorry. Whoa! See? They're like the same to me. I think the only difference between Wes and Jess is that Wes lacks the emotional unavailability that Jess has, which is great, which just makes Wes a better character. I think there's also a sequel coming out called Nothing Like the Movies, and it takes place when they're both in college. And it's a second chance romance, which kind of terrifies me because what happened? What happened? The next book on the list is The Girls I've Been by Tess Sharp. This book follows Nora. She is the daughter of a con artist who has been taken hostage during a bank heist. That's a lot of events happening all at once. This book goes back and forth between the past and the present where her and her friends are being held hostage at a bank, and the past where you get to explore all the things she's been through, all the girls she's been, and all the skills that she's acquired to help her in the present situation. I love that she's a very complex and multi-layered character. I think it just makes her real, and she's a badass. Like, once you read what she's been through and how she's pushed through it, I'm sure you'll think the same. So this book does talk about like sensitive topics, but the way that it's written, just like a perfect balance between like dark and heavy and humorous and action-packed. So definitely do your research beforehand. This goes for books that I have recommended in the past and will recommend in the future. I think I rated this a 3.5 out of 5 stars only because it kind of felt incomplete. Towards the end, I didn't feel like there was a resolution. Like, there was just like a lot of things that kept being brought up but weren't resolved, or the things that were brought up earlier in the book were not resolved at the end of the book. It wasn't incomplete like a cliffhanger situation. It was just kind of, oh, you need to explain a little more. But good thing that there's a sequel because I will definitely read that. Hopefully the next book will resolve some things. Next one is The Love Wager by Lynn Painter. I don't have the physical copy of this one. I did read it on my iPad, but I enjoyed it nonetheless. This one's like fake dating, best friends to lovers, kind of forced proximity. Compared to Better Than the Movies, this one is definitely more mature. I believe this one isn't a standalone series. This one follows, I think just follows the ending of the other one. So spoiler if you haven't read that one, I don't really think you need to read that one, but anyways, this one takes place at the sister's wedding. Okay. Hope that makes sense. So this one follows Jack and Hallie. Jack and Hallie meet at the reception of the wedding. Hallie's the bartender and Jack is obviously the brother of the bride. They recognize each other from earlier in the day. At the wedding, they're like, oh my god, I noticed you, whatever. So they're having small talk, and Jack's girlfriend Vanessa misinterprets this conversation and she makes a scene, and Jack and Vanessa break up. Towards the end of the wedding, Hallie and Jack kind of click, and they get talking, and one thing led to another. They spend the night together. After that night, they don't speak to each other again, and they both coincidentally end up on dating apps. Coincidentally again, Hallie sees him on her dating app and decides to message him. They exchange phone numbers and they've been texting a lot, and they come up with an agreement to see who could find the one first. They would schedule a date with like a person that they meet on the app and coordinate to have the date at the same restaurant. Jack and Hallie and their dates would sit next to each other, and if the date goes well, then the date goes well. But if the date doesn't go well, then they kind of ditch the dates and go eat at a Taco Hut. I hope I explained that efficiently. I love the banter in this book. Hallie and Jack become best friends, so obviously they can joke around with each other, and the nicknames they have for each other is just hilarious. I remember laughing out loud when I was reading this. I think I rated this a 4.5 out of 5 stars because I felt like the ending was kind of rushed. Like, I was nearing the end and I was like, uh-oh. But it was great nonetheless. I would read again. I love Lynn Painter's writings. After Better Than the Movies, I'm definitely on the Lynn Painter train. Oh, this is great. Next one is Happy Place by Emily Henry. This book has my entire heart. If I could read it again for the first time, I so would. I would do anything. The tropes in this one is kind of like forced proximity, fake dating, fake engagement, and it's also a second chance romance. I feel like romance is a subplot in this book. This book is not about romance. This one's more about it's about friendship and life. It's like found family. So this book follows Harriet and Wynne. They've been dating for a long time, ever since college. They've been dating for a while and they got engaged. But as of a few months ago, they broke off the engagement and failed to tell their friends and family about it. Every summer since college, Harriet and Wynne and their friends would go up to Maine to Sabrina, one of their friends' cottage, and spend a week there in their happy place. Only this year is different because Harriet and Wynne are no longer together and the cottage is going up for sale. So it's like the last time they're gonna be in their happy place. Harriet and Wynne, knowing this, they kind of don't want to ruin their last memory together at this place, so it's up to Harriet and Wynne to keep up their act to not ruin the last set of memories that are at this cottage. This book has two timelines. One explores the past of how Harriet and Wynne met and fell in love, and the present where they're not really talking to each other and you could feel the tension through the page. It was a hard breakup, guys. There was no part in this book where I felt that it was boring despite the mixed reviews. There's a lot of mixed reviews on both TikTok and Goodreads, so do with that what you will. I love Emily Henry's writing. She has a way with words, guys. She has a way with words. I unfortunately hopped on the Emily Henry train very late, but I'm so happy that I did, and I'm staying on this train because Emily Henry is just amazing. I love her. I want to say that I love, love, love Harriet and Wynne's relationship. Their relationship goes deeper than the soul, okay? Every fiber of their being is made for each other. I want what they have, basically. It's so beautiful. Oh, it's indescribable. You could see the beauty and you could see that they're meant for each other in Emily Henry's writing. As you can probably tell, I did rate this a 5 out of 5 because hello. Also, I think Happy Place is gonna be a Netflix series, which is again both exciting and terrifying because I know I have seen many book adaptations that did really well, above and beyond, and also some that didn't really do the book justice, which is scary. Hopefully Netflix does it justice because this book is so great and beautiful and has so much to offer, and hopefully that is translated on the screen. The next one is The Fury by Alex Michaelides. I don't know. To put it quite plainly, this one's a murder mystery, and there's an unreliable narrator. This book follows a reclusive ex-movie star who plans a vacation with 6 of her friends on a private island in Greece. This is basically like a retelling of the events that led up to the murder. I love the writing style with this one. I have read The Silent Patient by this author, and this goes for both books. He knows how to grip your attention from the very beginning. A narrator is retelling this story. There are parts in the book where the narrator will go in depth talking about a story or describing someone, and then the narrator kind of pulls you out of it. For example, the author would be really describing this one thing or describing a person, and they'll be like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have said that. Maybe I've said too much. I'm trying to keep a linear narrative. Another thing with this book is that the narrator addresses the audience, which is very strange. I've never read a book like that before. I don't know. It kind of breaks the fourth wall, and that's just kind of creepy to me. As you can see, I tabbed so much in this book, and this one had me in detective mode. The rating for The Fury is I'm stuck between a 3.5 and a 4, and I won't get too nitpicky about it, but I don't know if it was because I read The Silent Patient before that I didn't find this book. I don't know how to say it. If you know what I mean, then you know what I mean. If you don't know what I mean, that's fine. The next book that I read is Nora Goes Off Script. This follows Nora, another Nora, who is a recently divorced mother of 2, and she happens to be a screenwriter for the Romance Channel. Due to recent events, she decides to write about her divorce and make a whole screenplay about her divorce. Soon after, her screenplay gets picked up by a Hollywood studio, and they're set to film on location at her house for 3 days. After wrapping up filming, the male lead actor in the movie, Leo Vance, he stays back in this small town after wrapping the film, and he kind of convinces Nora to let him stay a week, and long story short, things end up brewing between the two, and he ends up staying a little bit more than a week. I forgot to say the tropes, but this is a small town romance, famous actor and mom. This one's a miscommunication trope, but not in the way that you think. At first, it was very difficult to like the male love interest, which is Leo. It was very hard to like him. He was just not all that interesting. The more you read, the more he grows on you, which is, thank God he does. I love how when the book begins, it doesn't start when Nora is divorcing her husband. Like, it starts right when the trailers and the film crew are like pulling in to her driveway. Like, I think I rated this book a 4.5 out of 5 stars. I was getting nervous towards the end, but it was enjoyable. There's a twist at the end. But yeah, I want there to be a sequel. I want to see how life is like afterwards. Also, the cover is really cute. The next one, I don't have the physical copy for this one, but I read Funny Story by Emily Henry. I finished this one right after Happy Place, but at the time I started another book for a video, so it was just kind of like all over the place. I didn't dedicate as much attention as I would to this book as I would a normal book. So Funny Story is basically like an ex-swap, roommates to lovers kind of, if you will. The male love interest is like a tattooed golden retriever, and he's brunette. Great, awesome. Love brunettes. This one follows Daphne. She is engaged and to be married to Peter. On Peter's bachelor night, his childhood best friend Petra confesses her love for Peter, and Peter leaves Daphne for Petra. Petra, on the other hand, used to date Miles, but she dumped Miles for Peter. Now both Daphne and Miles are like suffering basically the same breakup. Daphne moves out of Peter's house and she has nowhere to live. Miles, lo and behold, has an extra room. They move into Miles' apartment and they become roommates. Miles and Daphne end up living together, and the rest is history. Again, the banter is amazing with this one. Miles is so attentive and sweet and is literally the king of quality time. Like, that's his love language. I love them together. I love their dynamic. I didn't really connect too much with this story because I was reading other books while I was reading this one, so it was kind of hard to keep track with other books on my mind, but I'll definitely revisit this in the future. I think I rated this one a 4.5 out of 5 stars. Very enjoyable. I forgot to mention this also has fake dating in it. I wish we got to see more of that. More instances where Miles and Daphne have to fake it in front of Peter and Petra. Like, I wanted more of that, but it was okay. I loved it. Yeah, that concludes this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please let me know if you have read these books, if you have not read these books, if you're convinced to read these books. Let me know if you have book recommendations that are similar to these books. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.